one of the podcasts I shared with you, Ryan Pineda had Russell Brunson on one of his podcasts. And I think that was the first podcast I've heard Russell go on in 3 years, he mentioned, because I think he's just trying to get back out there again. It was an interesting concept because let's be honest, I consider Russell Brunson kind of like up there with, he's like that bridge between the old school guys who you knew, like the Dan Kennedys or the Sullivans who like knew how to market. We had infomercials and mail, direct
Yeah.
mail, all that kind of stuff. But to this internet age, I think Russell Brunson's right up there because you can directly trace Myron Golden, Alex Hormozy, even Ryan Pineda, and other guys from there from him. And he's been in the game for a while. He's coming back out trying to see what he can do. But one of the things I kind of he mentioned was he's writing a book. And one of the things he came up was this concept was like, what makes $1 million seller, a bestseller book? And he said it's really about keying in on a simple concept, but that's complex and is in his journey. And so if you can come up with one thing that's like simple. So for instance, he mentioned how to win friends and influence people.
Yeah.
Said that book has stood the test. That's the time because it's a simple concept, but complex in how you implement and how you
Yeah.
think about it in deep in the details of what goes into that. And he said, when you analyze all the different books that were bestsellers, that's the thing that they did. And he said, if you come up with that one concept, he said, basically, that's what you'll be known for, probably even after you die, if you can get to that next level.
Yeah.
And me and you talked about it last time on the things that you're writing. I was like, I think, Mr. Benja, you might be onto something like that. And I had an epiphany recently too that I might have something like that as well. And so I'm
Of
working
course you
on,
do.
and that could be the thing that I hang the life's work, that book, that whatever that thought, the idea that, hey, this is it. This is what it all sums into. This is what I'll be known for. And so I think that's what you need to get to in your entrepreneur journey, but just in your journey in life. If you can become known for that one thing that submits you into the world, I
Yeah.
think that's huge.
You could literally become the guy that wrote the book on insert subject. So
Exactly.
that
Exactly.
that phrase that they say, "Hey, he wrote the book on 10x. He wrote the
Yeah.
book
Yeah.
on
10x.
crushing it. He wrote the
Yeah.
book on $100 million offers."
Yep.
If you think about it, who's making $100 million offers? This guy wrote the book on it, literally. Alex Hormozi.
Exactly. And that's the key. And that's the key. Yeah. Allison Mosey, Gary Vee, and Grant Cardone. But you're right. Those are the things that probably outlast them. And you're right. I think 10X is also, it was such a simple concept. Basically, do more, you'll get more. That's
Yeah,
basically all Grant Cardone was talking about. But the complexity of all that went into it and the detail, that's why it's going to stand the test of time. How to win friends and influence people, right? It's just so if you can come up with a simple concept that's wait a minute, this is too simple. That's all it takes. Yes, and you go into details and
yeah,
stories and and levels to it, then that's when you become known as the guy. And so I think we hinted at what you're building. When I read your book, I immediately saw the implications of how it could be used. I'm using a part of it as well in the way I think. So I think there's something there, and you can own that whole arena.
yeah. Real quick, do you have any other examples of those that have stuck with you? For me, when you started talking about that, I jumped to "A Man Thinketh."
Yep.
It was just like,
The greatest salesman in the world. It's a simple concept of how you sell.
mhm,
There's a million of them out there, Mr. Benja. There's so many. I'm just trying to think. Heck, even in sports, I'm looking at this book right now. Kobe Bryant, he created the Mamba mentality. I told many people, I'm a Laker fan. I love Kobe as a basketball
mhm,
player. I guarantee they'll long forget about Kobe, who he was as a person, but they'll
yeah,
remember the Mamba mentality.
yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
you just don't have the Mamba mentality. Year 2022, 24, and you'll be like, "Where?" We don't even know. Even now, there's sayings that we say we don't know where they came from.
Yeah,
So
that is good stuff, and I love it. And
yeah,
Jordan could have had that book, but he
he could
didn't.
have. Yep,
So
yep.
it's just, what's a
Kobe
book
might
that
be
needs to be
outlast
written?
Jordan. Yeah, because he basically was the baby. Kobe took the concepts and made it his own, and he publicized it. And so now, because there's a guy now in the NBA, his name is Anthony Edwards. He's
Okay.
got that Mamba mentality. Not too many guys in the NBA are like that aggressiveness and very competitive guy. Like even LeBron, he's never been like that.
Right.
But you can tell there's going to be this lineage you're going to see in the NBA of these guys that have that Mamba mentality, and that's going to last the long term, and not just in sport. I don't even think it's going to last in the NBA. They'll probably take it to other areas and other sports and other business and things like that. So yeah, I think there's tons of them, Mr. Benja, but I think that's the key in life. If you can get a concept that's so simple, but the way you think about it, the way you thought about it, and the details you go into in your book, that's how you become known as that guy. And you're good. You can go speaking about that for the rest of your life.
Right?
Daniel Priestley, he created that concept, key person of influence, right? And it is something that we all knew. You're the guy that everybody goes to, but he quantified it, wrote a book about it, and detailed it. And Brunson had the idea like that. It was called the attracting character. Basically, you be that guy that leads everyone. But it's one chapter in his book about ClickFunnels. And so, yeah, we get your point, but was it deep enough to expand upon what it meant to be that attracting
You
character?
you
So
talked
it's
about
not
it.
like these ideas. Yeah, exactly. You can talk about there's tons of ideas we can talk about, but if you write a book about it, Mr. Benja, you the guy. It's done.
I
So
I love it.
yeah.
Yeah, man. So these gurus, man, they're just tripping me out, and I've come to the realization that as no matter what they're about, I always go to a guru. Even if they're off their rocker and not quite right with all the facts and everything, I'll check them out. And then when I check them out, I can start finding out, okay, if I don't want to listen to him, who do I get it from? Okay, he's got this concept. Because the one thing I found about all of them is that they're on to something. Like they've got something that they're so riled up about and people are going on about. If anything, I'm like, okay, if I can learn something from this guy, at least let me learn who the maybe the people behind the curtain or the better people are. Sometimes I'll go to a guy's website and I'll look him up and say, "Oh, that's interesting." Then I find his reviews on YouTube or something, and people will say, "You could just read these 5 books from the actual masters." And I'm like, "Boom, that's all I needed. Okay, now I can get rid of this guy and go to the actual source or whatever." But yeah, people who don't have gurus, man, I don't know what to say to them now.
Like I said, I pulled a book a couple weeks ago back here. What's his name? Was it
Ogilvy.
Oglesby? What? Yeah, he was saying things that they're talking about now. What they have to know and trust you. That was he wrote that in the 80s, and I'm sure he got that from someone else. So it's not like these concepts are hidden because they're principles. They just don't go away. It's just,
Yeah.
but you own a concept that, and a principle. And so I think I have something too, but I have to develop it more. Once I have I'll pull out my chapter book, Mr. Benja, and send it to you as well.